go. Okay. So we're looking at these different operations, okay? Adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division for these functions. So if we look, if we're talking about adding, we're like f of x plus g of x or f plus g to the x. It means, you know, when it has the x there, it means don't plug in a number. So if we're looking at this, for example, we would say 5x plus x plus 2, which simplifies as 6x plus 2. Okay, so it's just giving you an example of what addition's going to end up looking like. Subtraction, so we're looking at f of x minus g of x. So that's important that we have f of x minus, and I'm going to put in parentheses x plus 2, because we have to distribute that parentheses, that negative, excuse me, into the parentheses. So we've got 5x minus x minus 2. So that gives me 4x minus 2 is my answer. Okay. For multiplication, we're looking at 5x times x plus 2. That just means multiply each one of these by 5x. So we end up with 5x squared plus 10x. So I like this little chart because it just gives you kind of an example of each kind of operation, right? We've got addition, subtraction makes sure to distribute the negative, multiplication makes sure to multiply everything by everything. And then we're looking at division, 5x over x plus 2. I can't simplify, I can't take away this x because there's not an x in the 2 as well. So I just have to leave it just like that. And if we're looking at the domains of each of these, there's all real numbers for these. Remember that fancy R means all real, so I don't have to write it out each time. It means any number I could plug in for x, except for the division one, because I cannot have anything divided by 0, so x cannot equal negative 2 for that division part. These are all the domains, what x can be. Okay, now we're just going to do a bunch of examples of this. All right, we're given f plus g of x. So we're going to take both of these things, f of x and g of x, those two functions, and we're going to add them together. Am I going too fast, or we go okay? Okay. We've got x squared plus 3x minus 5 plus 2x squared plus x minus 9. All right, so now we're just going to do like terms. Sometimes I like to use a different colored pencil to kind of show you guys. Like these are like terms, right? These are like terms. And then these are like terms. Just make sure whatever sign is in front of them, that's the one you use. So if it's like negative, make sure it stays together. So I'm going to add the purple ones first. X squared plus 2x squared is 3x squared. Green ones next. 3x plus x gives us 4x. And then negative 5 and negative 9. So I've got negative 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Negative 14. We okay with that? So we're just putting those like terms together. Just make sure if they're both negatives or both positives or whatever, we keep them. Emily, if you have your homework from last night, I'd love to see when you get a chance. Okay. All right, now we're going to do the same thing, but for subtraction. Just make sure when we're subtracting, we have to be careful of that negative. Make sure to distribute that negative throughout. Okay? So let's try one, and then I'll show you what I mean. All right. We're wanted f minus g of x. So we're going to write down f of x first, just like normal. Okay? But then I'm going to say minus, and I'm going to put in parentheses 2x squared plus x minus 9. And I put that in parentheses so you guys can see that we want to distribute that negative to everything. Okay? We want to distribute that negative. So then we get x squared plus 3x minus 5 minus 2x squared minus x plus 9. Okay? Now again, we want to combine like terms, so I've got my squareds are going to go together. My just x's are going to go together. And finally, my numbers that are by themselves will go together. So x squared minus 2x squared is just x squared. 3x minus x is 2x. And negative 5 plus 9 is plus 4. We feeling okay? Yeah. So when we're subtracting, make sure to distribute that negative sign. Okay, let's look at number 3. We've got g of x, which is 2x squared plus x minus 9. And then we're going to say minus, and I'm going to put in parentheses that f of x. X squared plus 3x minus 5. If we could not talk while I'm teaching, that would be great. Should be writing this down. Okay, so I'm going to distribute that negative. So I get 2x squared plus x minus 9 minus x squared minus 3x plus 5. Okay? Then I'm not going to circle it with different colors this time because you might not have them. Just combine those like terms. 2x squared minus x squared gives me x squared. X minus 3x gives me negative 2x. Negative 9 plus 5 gives me negative 4.
Where did you get the x squared minus 3x?
Plus 5. I distributed that negative to everything in the inside. Don't forget that part. Okay. All right, number 4. Harold, can you sit down, please? G, Harold, thank you. Maybe with your work in front of you. G and F times each other. So that's x squared plus 3x minus 5 times 2x squared plus x minus 9. Now you can kind of do a version of FOIL. I like to set up this funky 3x3 box. Okay? You have to distribute 3 times though. So I do a 3x3 box where I have x squared, 3x, negative 5 here, and 2x squared, x, and negative 9 here. You do not have to do it this way, but it's really easy to get unorganized. 2x squared plus x squared is 2x to the 4th. X squared times x is x to the 3rd. X squared times negative 9 is negative 9x squared. 3x times 2x squared is 6x to the 3rd. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 9 is negative 27x. Okay, and then I'm going to do times 5, negative 5. Negative 5 times 2x squared is negative 10x squared. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 9 is a positive 45. Then I'm going through and I'm like, okay, there's only one 2x to the 4th, so I write that down first. I look for all the x to the 3rds. I'm going to add them together. I get 7x to the 3rd. I look for all the squares. See how I have all the squares here? Negative 10x squared plus 3x is negative 7x squared. Negative 7x squared minus 9x squared is negative 16x squared. Okay? And then negative 5x and negative 27, so 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Negative 32x. And then we have plus 45. So yeah, this is one problem, and that is a little bit big. You usually won't have 2 functions where it's 3 terms each. Okay? No. But you need to understand how to do it. You're going to have problems like this. That's why I did it. So look at the homework. You tell me. Okay. So let's go ahead and do a division one.
How much you compare this to
Okay. Let's do a division one. We've got f of x on top, g of x on the bottom. So f of x is x squared plus 3x minus 5 all over 2x squared plus x minus 9. Okay? So the only way to cancel things out is if we can factor them. Is there anything 5 times 5, like anything that multiplies together to give me 5 that adds together to give me 3? The only possibilities is 5 and 1, right? 5 and 1 never is going to add or subtract to give me 3. So we're just going to leave it like this. And g over f gives us 2x squared plus x minus 9 all over x squared plus 3x minus 5. So in a lot of cases, you should be able to factor those. Okay, let's look at the back. Yep.
that minus 5?
Yep. All right, we're going to skip 7, 8, 9, and 10 because you don't have a homework problem like that. And we're going to move on to 11. Okay? So what I think we should do is we should take a few minutes and everybody work on, let's try 11 and then we'll see if we get the same answers, okay? Instead of you guys just writing down what I'm writing down, why don't we try it together? So everybody try number 11 and then we'll compare answers because I am going to try 11 and you guys try 11. So, yep, you're going H times G and you're plugging in wherever you see an X, you're plugging in a 2. Okay? H times G, wherever you see an X, you're plugging in a 2. Actually try it. Don't play on your phone right now. Actually try the problem. See if you can figure it out. You guys need another minute or are you good? Need a minute?
You said 11 and what?
Just 11. So did you guys get 28?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I wrote them both down, but I left parentheses for where X was. This was one. Thank you. So I left parentheses where X was, putting them in. And that's what I ended up getting. Okay, let's try 12. So I've got H first, so I'm going to go 4. I'm going to leave a parentheses for where X is, minus 1. And then it wants F to go in there. So F is X plus 7. And then it says plug in a negative 10 where X is. So I did that really fast. Are we okay? So wherever there was an X, I left a space. I left a parentheses. Okay, now I can solve it. So I go 4, negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Negative 12 minus 1 more is negative 13. Mm-hmm. All right. Now we're going to do h of g of x.
Oh, no. If I said number 4, I'll do this.
So I've got h, which is 4 times x minus 1. So I went 4 parentheses minus 1. Okay? Then inside the parentheses, I put f. F is x plus 7. So I put parentheses plus 7 in the inside. Then it said plug in negative 10. So negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Negative 12 minus 1 more is negative 13. Okay, we're going to look at 13. So we know what h is. H is right here. So see how I'm going to go 4 parentheses minus 1. Are we okay with the h part? We're okay with the h part? And then g is x squared minus 3x plus 6. So I got to go x squared minus 3x plus 6 in the inside of it. Okay? Now I'm going to distribute my 4. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12x. 4 times 6 is 24. Minus 1, so these two are like terms, I can put them together. 4x squared minus 12x plus 23. I'm done. Okay? G times h of x, so that's just the multiplication. X squared minus 3x plus 6 times 4x minus 1. So again, I like to build a box out of this. Shh. Where I've got x squared minus 3x and 6 on top, 4x minus 1 on the side. 4x times x squared is 4x to the third. 4x times negative 3x is negative 12x squared. 4x times 6 is 24x. Negative 1 times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times negative 3x is a positive 3x. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. So I'm going to put them together. 4x to the third minus 13x squared plus 24, 25, 26, 27. 27x minus 6. And we're going to do 15 and then that's it, and I'll let you guys work on your homework. 15 is h of f of g of x. So first we start with h. 4, let's do a big parentheses, minus 1. So we're good with h. Do you guys see that I got h there? Those of you who are paying attention and want to pass the quiz coming up. So apparently I need to collect phones, huh? F is x plus 7. So again, big parentheses, plus 7. And then g of x needs to go on the inside. So in here needs to go x squared minus 3x plus 6. Okay, that's that g of x. Put that in the inside. So first I can add 6 and 7. So I'm going to have 4 times x squared minus 3x plus 13 minus 1. Now, what?
Why do you put the numbers and letters in different versions?
Okay, see how h says 4x minus 1? So that's why I had the 4 space 1.
Why do you put the minus 1 on that side?
Because that's what it says out here. See, the minus 1 is over here. So it has to go on the outside of my parentheses. See how the x is right there, 4 times x? I'm going to, instead of putting in x there, I'm going to put what f of x is, which is x plus 7.
I thought so.
Okay? And then instead of an x right here, I'm going to put the whole thing of g of x there.
Oh,
Better?
yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to distribute my 4, and I get 4x squared minus 12x plus, what's 13 times 4? 52 minus 1. And I get 4x squared minus 12x plus 51. Okay, for your homework tonight, it is two-sided. Please keep it, because you're going to work on the back tomorrow. Okay? So you're just going to do 5.5a. Okay? Just 5.58. There's not a lot of room. I squished mine in, but I really recommend using a separate sheet of paper. Okay? All right, so you should get started on your homework.